Welcome back, gang. So today we're going to be talking about how you manage your school and your work life effectively.
I guess we should introduce ourselves first. We decided for the project that for each of the topics we were going to have sort of a topic leader because all of us are kind of strong in different areas of school. So the topic leader for our first episode is going to be Isaiah because our topic is balancing school and jobs like working at a restaurant, working as an intern somewhere, working for your parents, stuff like that. So Isaiah, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Isaiah. I'm a junior at Cape Coral High School. I have a job. It sucks. Trying to balance both school and work is definitely a challenge.
We'll get into that
through the years.
Yeah. I'm Kuiper Corvin. I'm also a junior at Cape Coral High School. I'm in the IB program, which means I'm in a very rigorous program. So we're all actually in IB. This is a CAS project for us. So since we're all in such a rigorous program, we feel like we were qualified to give advice to other students because we've spent so much time having to learn how to budget our time, how to deal with school and other parts of our life since our schooling is so rigorous. So that's a little about me. Preston, go ahead.
My name is Preston Alexandri. I'm a junior at Cape Coral High School. As Piper mentioned, I too am a IB student. I feel that me, as well as the rest of my gang here, we have a kind of a unique perspective on it because, as she mentioned, IB is a rigorous program. So we've kind of been forced into these certain habits, and I want to take this video to discuss some of these habits, break them down, see what advice we can offer to you guys that you learn from our mistakes.
All right, so Isaiah, if you want to lead us into our topic of discussion, which is advice for balancing school and a working job.
All right. Well, working while in school, definitely a challenge, especially in the IB program. My freshman and sophomore years, I feel like I struggled the most because I had a job that literally put me...
You had a job your freshman year?
I had a job the freshman year.
Where'd you work?
At the bowling alley.
At the bowling alley?
I worked at the bowling alley, and I would be getting out at like midnight for most shifts, and I'd be getting...
Freshman year, damn.
Yeah, I'd be getting home really exhausted. Some days I kind of just dug it out and tried to get some work done.
Yeah.
But honestly,
did you feel like you should have had a job at that young? Like, would you advise other freshmen to get jobs that are that intensive?
Yeah, freshman year of all years.
No, I definitely wouldn't.
Well, I guess a question I have for you, did you have to have that job or did you want to have that job?
I wanted to have that job. I
think
wasn't
that's a
forced.
difference,
I wasn't forced to. I did want it. I wanted to make some money at the time.
So what advice do you have for people who may have to have that job, who aren't as economically advantaged as we are, I guess?
Parents might have to work a job. And I guess we should preface this by saying Isaiah works with me and Preston. So we're not as... That's why he's a topic leader, because he's more informed on this subject. We're just giving the perspective of people that aren't in a situation where we have to have jobs.
He's had tons of experience, as he mentioned, from freshman year, and he still works now, so.
Yeah.
Works at Publix.
It's definitely a lot better at Publix. You get out at like 10 o'clock. I still have a little bit of energy left in me.
It's good.
Okay. So do you have any advice for people that are maybe working at that young age that kind of have to, like on how they could budget their time and better balance their school and their working lives?
Well, countless times from teachers and maybe even your parents, but it's true. Procrastination is the killer of dreams. And your phone is your worst enemy, as my Spanish teacher says.
Shout out,
all the time.
Shout out to Mr. Martinez.
We love
I'm
you,
a Spanish teacher.
But yeah, it's the killer of dreams, and inhibiting you from being the best version of yourself.
Actually, I can kind of attest to that because I am a person who's never worked, and one trait that I've coined with myself is I am the master procrastinator. I can leave all of my work off until the day before, and I get it done with the same amount of, I guess, like detail as it would if I didn't procrastinate. But I feel like yeah.
For real? I never see you like procrastinating though.
Well, it's because I don't actively tell people about it is the thing. But like I feel like if I had a job that almost forced me to not have to procrastinate because I'd have to get my work done before I went to work, I might not be that big of a procrastinator because it is a big weakness of mine. It's why I'm so stressed all the time. So an advice for people that aren't so much balancing work and school is don't procrastinate. It works against you so much.
Unless you're like hella smart like her, because I mean.
Yeah, sometimes you can get away with procrastinating.
Yeah, but smart.
But don't.
We're not
don't
advising people
advise
to
that.
procrastinate.
Don't be procrastinators. It's good to keep a planner, like a journal,
Yeah.
to mark out.
Yeah.
Maybe even a calendar.
Definitely use a planner.
I keep a calendar,
I
actually.
do use a planner myself. I
Yeah.
like to schedule what assignments I have for each class and when they're due, just to keep track of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So.
That's good.
And and also for me, clubs can kind of act as a pseudo job, and I know they're not the same thing because you're not getting paid unless you're getting paid in service hours, which for an IB where we have to have a certain amount of service hours, honestly service hours are a form of payment for us.
And for Bright Future Scholarship to have.
Yes,
that.
shout out to all the Florida people that are watching the video.
Shout out Florida.
So for me, like, we're all in a club that's called Global Studies, and it's a gardening club where we meet on Saturdays. Every single week we're there on Saturday. So it's kind of like a part-time job. So if you're a person where you're not in a position where you need to work, or even like your parents aren't gonna let you work, like my parents don't let me get a job because they don't want me to. Clubs can kind of act as pseudo jobs, especially if you're in a very involved one like we are. So that's another advice I have to people. If you don't have to work a job, consider getting into some high intensity clubs. They can kind of act as that source of motivation and discipline for you.
If you have a key club at your school, I'd recommend that one.
Mm-hmm.
That one is like, it's that one's another very involved one.
Red Cross as well.
Red Cross, both for service hours as well.
National Honor Society, yeah. And it's all free service hours. It helps you. That's
and
kind
you
of
get
like
to help people along the way, so that's also a benefit.
That's a big plus as well. Plus, if you're in the IB program, which I know some of our viewers might be, CAS is a big thing. That can definitely, you could you can have a CAS experience or even a project that you can kind of gain ideas from being in these clubs.
Yeah.
It's definitely a make or break of a scholarship. This can really help you guys out.
But I will say, if we're talking about Bright Futures, one new thing they've added is that you don't have to just use service hours. You can also use like working paying hours. So if you're like Isaiah, where you volunteer and you work a job, you might not have to volunteer as much if he can just get his work hours documented. So.
Yeah, I also feel like it's kind of cheating in a way, using your work hours. It's an easy way out.
Yeah, but it's very intense for you, isn't it? I mean, it takes up a lot of your time.
Yeah.
That's just a value thing for me.
That's fair,
Okay,
honestly.
so
That's a fair use. I guess we can probably take this time to cut to one of our friends that we interviewed. His name is Zach Distel. He's an IB junior like us, and he works a part-time job. Is it a part-time
It's a
job?
full-time job.
He works a full-time job while still being in school. So he does work more than Isaiah, and he has worked about the same time as Isaiah. He's also been working since freshman year, had a couple different jobs, but we interviewed him today at school to kind of get his opinion on things because he was like an expert authority on the subject. So we're gonna cut to him.
So today here we have Zaxter Distel, aka Zachary, and he's going to tell us a little bit about his work experience and how he balances it with his schoolwork. Okay.
Well, what do you want to know, Preston?
So, first, let's get to this. Let's get the basics. Where do you work?
Jason's Deli, right across Santa Barbara Boulevard, across from school.
All right. What are the shift times that you work?
Depends. Right now we're in season, so I'll be working pretty much Monday to Sunday, 4-hour shifts each day, unless I'm closing where I get a break. That's 6 hours. Other than that, in off time, it's anywhere from 4 to 5 days a week.
Have you been working?
A little over a year now there. I started when I was 15, sophomore year at Jeremiah's Italian Ice, just farther down that same strip.
And how would you describe your time management skills?
Honest answer? I mean, they definitely could do some work. I mean, I definitely do make it go by. I find time for school, same time I find time for work. But it is very difficult, especially on weekends where you work a double, you pretty much work there. You only get 30 minutes to an hour to do your homework on top of sleeping and your extracurricular free time. So it is a struggle, but I get it done.
Okay. And how long would you say that you would have an easier time in school if you were not working?
Definitely, but it comes with a caveat. Because when I work, not only do I get money, but I have something to do, I have some motivation, keeps me busy. If I didn't have that after school and all I had to do was work, I still feel like I would find an excuse to, or I wouldn't find the time to, kind of like a procrastination error. Because it's not all just, me working so much. I do have some specific stuff I need to work on to be a better student, but, it works.
Your advice to some other students out there who are also having a tough time managing their schoolwork and regular work?
For advice, I'd kind of just stick to one or two. So if you want to, be a lot better of a student, if you don't really have the need to work unless it's just for some pocket money to spend, find that time on your breaks, cut out a few hours, and if you have to, call off of work. Most works understand. My job especially understands calling off for schoolwork, being in the IB program. So sometimes they'll give it to you with the proper notice.
Do you think that, so we know that you're in the IB program, right?
Yeah.
Would you think that it would be a much easier time to balance schoolwork and work if you weren't in the IB program?
I almost want to say definitely, but it also isn't to discredit IB. IB is very good for higher learning students. It helps engage me, and I feel like I'm learning when I go to school. I'm not just in a class that I already know. It's pretty working basic. But because of the workload of IB, it does make juggling it harder with work. Would I switch? No. I still want to do IB. I still want the credits. I still want to have that workload. I just, will make it work.
Would you advise doing IB while also having a job?
If you have plenty of free time after school, yes, because it is always nice to have money, especially saving up for college, gifts, presents, anything you want, pocket change, food especially. But if you're already filled to the brim with clubs, if you're filled to the brim with sports and extracurriculars, then maybe either stick to working over the summers, maybe stick to weekends, trying to limit yourself so you can achieve everything you want to.
Do any clubs?
I wish I did more, if I'm being honest with you. I do environmental studies when I have the chance. I try to get involved in student government, but that kind of didn't go through, and I am on the prom committee. But there's definitely a lot more clubs and extracurriculars I wanted to do other than just the sports.
What are some extracurriculars that you would have done had you had more time?
DECA Club sounds like a real fun blast. I wish I was more involved in environmental science. That would have been fun to do. Student government, of course, I ran for positions in middle school. I'd like to continue that. Even Honor Society. I was a National Junior Honor Society member. I could probably do National Honor Society if I had the time.
Would you choose having a job over doing extracurriculars?
Again, I feel like that depends on your outlook. If you really need or want money, then I would prioritize clubs, because clubs are really just there for something fun to do, for some extra service hours, and also to make your college applications look pretty good. But again, if you have that free time and you have like a stable family or a stable money situation, why not, right? Again, try to balance it, maybe work only weekends, only summers. But if you either really have to or really want to work, there's definitely going to be some give or take on clubs.
Okay. Thank you, Zachary Distel.
No problem, guys.
Zach makes some great points, but really just adding on to that, you're going to need to have like a plan to try to balance work and school.
Thank you, Zachary.
Thank you.
Thanks, Zach. I appreciate
I
it.
manage my time better by trying to get as much done in school as possible. I feel like that's really important, and it's really gonna lighten your load later.
And we see a lot of people in our classes that we know have jobs. That we know have jobs that don't work in class. So I think that is a really good
For
piece
sure.
of advice.
I mean, now at home, I know most of you watching this video, the first thing you do when you get home, you get a little snack, you sit on the sofa, and you scroll through your phone for a little bit. And then after that, you get to you get to your work,
You play a
and then
little
you
bit
get
of Fortnite.
distracted.
By your
whether
phone.
it's your phone
Fortnite.
or
Fortnite.
whatever.
Friends.
Helldivers too. That's big now.
Yeah.
I mean, then people complain about not getting work done, but I mean, it's honestly really our own fault.
That was
I feel
a-
like we could be doing a lot better with trying to eliminate distractions out of our lives. I
Yeah.
feel like we'd be just fine.
Yeah, I always hated when like students would get angry with the teachers, saying, "Yo, you don't give us enough time to do the work." I mean, I think some teachers don't. Some teachers will have a lecture for like the full 45 minutes,
Yeah.
and they'll assign homework on top of that. That's like a full analysis of a document, and the document's like 10 pages long, which isn't cool. But most of the time, I find the teachers can be pretty like fair with their work.
And a lot of those students that are complaining are students that work. So if you choose to work, I guess our advice to you is that you're your own worst enemy. If you choose, especially if you choose to work, like you choose to work. If you choose to work, you need to manage your own time out better. There's a difference between if you need to work or you choose to work.
Yeah, you need to have a plan going into this, knowing what you're going to be dealing with.
Do you have any systems that you use to manage your time while working?
One system that I like to use is called time blocking. It's a study technique. You're basically scheduling out your day with school. So, for example, I will have biology. I'll be working on anything for biology from, let's say, 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock. After that, I'll have a 10-minute break just to relax. No phones.
Yeah.
I like to either sit outside or just listen to some piano.
Do you listen to piano on the phone?
Yes.
I thought you just said no phones.
Well, I'm not mindlessly scrolling through my phone.
You're not playing
no
a game
social
or no
media.
No
scrolling.
social
Yeah.
media.
Yeah.
I put on some music and I sit outside just to let my brain cool down. Because you're on your phone, your brain's not cooling down. It's being stimulated.
Is that a
Yeah.
scientific term? Cooling down? Is that scientifically proven that your brain cools down while on the phone?
Well, yeah, actually,
Yeah.
it's proven that you sleep better if you don't look at your phone before going to bed.
Does it turn your brain to mush, scientifically? That's what my parents tell me.
Brain
Anyways.
rot.
A brain
They
rot.
tell me it's brain rot.
Brain rot. Don't indulge in brain rot, guys. It's ruining.
That's another piece of advice. Don't indulge in brain rot.
Don't indulge in brain rot.
Honestly, just delete social media. Yeah.
I would
Alright,
say
wait, we
delete.
might not be going that far.
I wouldn't
That's,
say delete
okay,
it,
that's a
but use
topic.
it very sparingly.
That's a topic for a later episode.
That's okay. That's
Anyways, back to my study technique. I'll have my break, and then after that, I'll have another subject from this time to that time, and it basically gives a time constraint on my work, so I'll be more likely to get it done.
Yeah. That's really
But
cool,
yeah.
honestly. I like that technique.
that's good. That's good.
So, do we feel like we have...
How did you come to know about that technique? Were there techniques you used before you learned about time blocking? And how effective were they?
No, I didn't have any techniques. I just kind of just dug it out.
Yeah.
I didn't really have a plan set in place, and that's probably why I didn't do as well in school.
Are you feeling you're doing better now after you use the time blocking
Yeah.
techniques?
I feel like I'm learning, retaining more information, because it's a form of active learning instead of passive learning.
Active recall.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said you used to work a lot of shifts at the bowling alley in your freshman year,
Yes.
right? I know you work less shifts now at Publix, right? Because
Yes.
you just recently got this job. Do you feel like you would advise people to work less compared to school? Like maybe work less shifts, or maybe not work during school, maybe get a summer job? Like, what's your take on that?
Well, it all comes down to personal preference. If you want the money, go get a job, but try to fix your schedule to where you won't be stressing as much. I know most jobs won't you only working a little bit amount of time, but try.
Yeah.
That's
And
what
if
summer
you-
jobs are for.
Yeah. You can also get a summer job if you'd like, but if your main focus, if you really want the money, if you really want that, then I mean,
The bands. Anything for the
you
bands.
go for the job during school and then just have a plan. At the end of the day, just have a plan and you'll be fine.
Okay.
Don't sacrifice one for the other, though. If you find yourself slipping in school, please, do
Take
what
less
you must.
shifts. Take less shifts. Maybe switch to a less intensive job. I know a lot of our friends work in the food service industry, and that's a very intensive part-time job. If you don't feel like doing that, maybe work at a retail store, kind of like Publix is,
Yeah.
where you're still getting that kind of same amount of money, but you're not working as intensive of a job.
They're also
and-
very flexible with their schedules, so that's also a good thing about working at Publix shops. Publix
Shout
at
out.
Publix. Trust.
We are not endorsed by Publix.
No, we're
Publix
not.
has not
sponsored.
paid us. to make this
Publix
advertisement.
is not.
Not sponsored.
Not
sponsored.
Wouldn't be opposed to it.
Wouldn't be opposed to it. We would not be
Love me a good
opposed to
chicken
it.
No, I'd like
tenny
to take
pub
the
sub.
sign
Shout
off.
out to Hot Honey Chicken Tenny Pub Sub. Limited edition. They should make it a permanent staple on the menu. That's good. Get it with garlic pickles. Get it with bacon. I mean, maybe if you don't like bacon, maybe don't get it with bacon. I don't know many people don't like bacon though. Get it with like American cheese. It's honey mustard. Honey mustard and the hot honey pairs very.
Shout out to Publix and then. Whatever you guys-
So, what do we feel like overall advice is for people? Because this is supposed to be an advice forum. Even if we are focusing on discussion, like discussing amongst ourselves, because this is also a learning lesson for us too, because we're all talking and discussing amongst each other. We might learn some new things,
We're
but
learning a
from
little
our
bit about each other as well. I didn't know
Yeah.
the freshman year. That's-
yeah. So, topic leader, do we have like an overall piece or pieces of advice that we'd like to give to the viewers?
Just for me personally, I feel like the best piece of advice, just try to eliminate distractions. Your life will be a lot easier if you just eliminate that. You'll be able to get a lot more value out of the things you do if you just do that. That's really all it comes down to.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
That's good. That's good.
So that wraps up our first episode, guys. We will see you in the next one.
Make sure to
Make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to turn on notifications. Ring that notification bell. You'll be notified when the next time we post. And with that, we will see you
Next time. Bye.
Bye bye.